What's up guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Realistic Career Mode. This is episode number 48, and we're starting today's episode off on the back of our win over Bristol Rovers 4-1 away at the Memorial Stadium to put us through to the fourth round of the FA Cup, and on the back of the draw with Leicester on New Year's Eve as well. Back to matters in the Premier League and back home for this one at St Mary's, taking on Brighton for this one. So heading into the game right now, as we know, still in the top four, but only just 17 games to go. It has been an incredibly tight league table for the duration of the season so far, just like it was last year, and there's still really so much to play for, and anyone's guess as to whether we'll be in a title race, finish in a Champions League spot, finish in a Europa League spot, a Europa Conference League spot, or a top 10 finish. Right now, anything can happen. Still, heading into the game against Brighton. Oh, yes, it was great to see this. He hit the post against Leicester in our last league game. And I think that is his first goal as a Southampton player out of the Chelsea Academy, signed by the Saints. Massive fan of this kid. Very high ceiling. Tino Livramento, our right back, gets his first of the season at least, and I think the save as well. 1-0 to the Saints. Did you see the flick by Ritzy, by the way, to start that move off? Oh my goodness, glorious. This guy is so nimble on his feet, and speaking of which, 29 minutes in as he keeps holding the ball and finds Bale. Quick little 1-2. I thought he'd scored our second as well. The net rippling, but it was the side of the net he hit as we were still leading by one. But in the first half here against Graham Potter's side, totally dominating, aiming to keep ourselves in the Champions League spots right now, getting a lot of joy down the right hand side, kept on attacking there, and 48 minutes in, the woodwork rattled. Che Adams rolls it across, Lookman hits the frame of the goal, and Brighton would escape. So the first half belonging to the Saints, absolutely dominant, and one of those games where in a half-time whistle blew, I was like, right, I've dominated, but I'm only leading by one. So in the second half, don't ease off. Don't let your foot off the gas pedal, because you know when you do that against the AI, that's when you let them back in the game. And the AI, I talked about before, they only need one chance to get a goal, like you saw in the Bristol Rovers game. They only had one shot in the game and they scored from it as well. So got to keep your foot on the gas pedal, get that second goal, and I should have had it as well. 8 minutes after the restart, Che Adams, who finally ended his goal drought in the last game against Bristol Rovers, hadn't scored in so many weeks and finally got one against the League 2 side. Should have got his first Premier League goal in months. Firing wide as we still led by one, and then 14 minutes in, looking to get our second, we would do so. Adamola Lookman stepping in from the left. Lovely couple of skill moves and a great finish as well. I tell you, I've talked about the importance of inside forwards in modern day football, you know, quite recently. It's just, I just absolutely love watching it. I really, really do, because it's just so joyous when you can step inside, beat a last defender, and then either bend it in far corner or smash it in near post. There's something so cool and aesthetically pleasing, because I just try and like imagine it as if it's like a 2D kind of view of the pitch. Like if for example, you watch one of my Football Manager videos, I play in 2D. You know, something about like seeing a curved run from left to right or right to left, and then the ball getting smacked in as well. There's something so aesthetically pleasing about seeing an arched run and a finish as well. And as we know, crosses are just so underwhelming and, you know, hard to score from in FIFA nowadays. It's funny because I mentioned before, like back in the day, crossing was just so OP. You know, the crosses were just so dangerous. They were so threatening. They were so overpowered that, you know, you don't even need a player with a high crossing or curve stat to whip a ball in, find a man at the far post, and then, you know, you'd win the aerial duel 50% of the time. Now, they're so hard to score from. So if you've got wingers in your team, if you're playing with a wide formation, I'd always say this, don't look for wingers that can cross. Look for wingers that can cut in and be inverted wingers or inside forwards. You've got a far better chance of getting your goals that way from stepping inside to shoot, as opposed to crossing it in. Even with target, man, just doesn't seem to work nowadays in FIFA. Anyway, in this game against Wolves here, midway through January, on the back of, I think, 6 games without a loss now in the Premier League. Really nice streak for us in what had been a tough month of December. Now taking on Bruno Lage's side away at Molineux. Never a ground I play very well at when I come and visit here. Such a tough game, this one. I could not break Wolves down in the game, and really, both defences have been really strong for the entire game. With 12 minutes to go, there was only really one clear-cut chance in the game, and it came to Arthur Cabral, who was literally just signed by Wolves. This was his debut. I wouldn't just know it, he scored on it as well. Final score at Molineux, Wolves 1, Southampton 0. I could not break Bruno Lage's side down. They couldn't break me down until the one time they did, they got a goal from it as well. Typical, right? So 1-0 the final score. And the stats here told the story completely. I mean, honestly, it was such a tedious game. Wolves dominated possession, couldn't get the ball off them. When I did, I couldn't break them down. It was a really poor game. A goalless draw would have been the right result. Instead, we lose it right towards the end, and our undefeated run is ended at Molineux. So following the defeat there away against Wolves, I decided to reinvest the money we got for Jack Stevens in a new centre-half. We just sold our long-serving centre-half to Crystal Palace at 29 years old, 77 overall. He was a good squad player, but now that Jerome Martel's been loaned out to Burnley, I thought, you know what? We might possibly need someone else for cover. And I said to Sean Dyche, let's have a chat. You're still in charge of Burnley in the game, which pleases me, at least. You know, we talked about it a lot in the last episode. I'm still so sad to know that Dyche is no longer at Turf Moor. But I said to Sean Dyche, okay, alright, you've now taken on your new role as head of transfer negotiations. How much do you want for Nathan Collins, the young Irish defender, formerly of Stoke City, signed for Burnley for this season in real life? He spent a couple of years with them in the game, but he's developed okay. He's 77 overall and only 22 years old as well, so a long way to go in his career. But I like the idea of bringing this guy in as a fourth choice centre-half. Exactly what we do, and for £12 million plus a sell-on clause as well. Nathan Collins is in. Very strong, very solid defensive player with medium high work rate. It's not the slowest of centre-halves as well, and he can pass the ball too. So Collins is in for £12 million, and I'll take that as well. Because we just sold Jack Stevens to Crystal Palace, and Jerome Martel has now gone to Turf Moor as well. I'll be totally honest here, I was a little bit strategic in my decision making for what player I would sign, and the reason why I chose a Burnley player is because I want Martel to play enough games. He's going to be behind James Tarkowski and Nathan Collins in the pecking order at Burnley because they're both higher rated, so I thought, right, we got Tarkowski and Collins on the shortlist. If I sign one of them, then theoretically Martel should partner the other. So I was a little bit strategic in who I decided to sign there, but I think I made the right call as well. Martel should get more game time now at Burnley because Collins is in. And yeah, I'm pretty pleased with that signing as well. For £12 million plus a sell-on clause. 22 years old, already 77 overall. I'd imagine he'll still grow a few more ratings as well. And it'll give Tosin and Mark some competition for our third choice centre-half slot in this team. Anyway, for the third game, obviously it's third and final game here away at Bloomfield Road, taking on Blackpool, the Tangerine Army. Very excited for this one here. FA Cup 4th round. Great chance to make the last 16. And oh my goodness, contender for goal of the season, and he's already got a couple of them this year, including that glorious Rabona goal against Leicester. Ritsu from range, absolutely amazing goal from our Japanese sensation, and 28 minutes in, Shea Adams back on the score sheet. He's really struggled in recent weeks, but a goal against Bristol Rovers, now a goal here against Blackpool as well. He can only score against the Football League side, it seems. Even so, 2-0 to Southampton, and right before the break as well, he turned provider for our third goal. Lovely, neat little flick from Shea into the path of who else but Gareth Bale, the Welsh wizard. The vet makes it free, drills one in off the post, and that would confirm it at half-time. 3-0 up on the Championship side, and surely we are progressing through to the last 16 of the Cup. Once again, you would have seen my lineup. There were a couple of changes, don't get me wrong, a couple of fringe players getting some opportunities in this game, but still a really strong team. I've talked about it before in previous versions of FIFA. I would always rotate the vast majority of my team in Cup games and Europa League games as well, but now I take the competitions a lot more seriously because FIFA has got a lot tougher. But in this game, it was more of a routine victory than I was probably anticipating. Gareth Bale headed in our fourth right after the restart to bag his brace, and with 18 minutes to go, a chance to make it 5. JWP sends down Brendan Johnson down the right hand side, and a Brecci Eze with the scissor kick makes it 5. It's so rare to score goals from crosses. I was talking about it earlier, but in this game here against Blackpool, we scored through 2 of them. First, Gareth Bale heading in a corner, and then a Brecci Eze unmarked to the back stick with the scissor kick. Paolo Di Canio-esque. Maybe not quite as difficult as the one Di Canio executed all those years ago, but even so, still looked pretty cool as a Brecci makes it 5. Final score against Championship side of Bloomfield Road, Blackpool 0, Southampton 5. And there we go, we are into the last 16 of the FA Cup. So last year EFL Cup finalists, last year FA Cup semi-finalists. I've certainly got a bit of a reputation now of being a manager who can take a team far into cups, even though we were knocked out by Cardiff in the EFL Cup third round early this season. But into the last 16 in the FA Cup, into the last 16 in the Europa League. And on the back of the loss to Wolves, we have dropped out of the top 4, but only by a point. 15 games to go, and it's still incredibly, incredibly tight in the race for the Champions League next season. But that will end today's episode of the Realistic Career Mode, guys. Big thank you for watching. Really hope you have enjoyed today's episode. If you have, then please do drop a like. Much love to you all. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you for the next episode of the Realistic Career Mode featuring Transfer Deadline Day very soon.